Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Toronto International Film Festival. And thank you so much for joining our screenings. My name is Diana Cadavid, and I'm a programmer here at the festival. And it is with great honor that we're presenting today the world premiere of The Odd Job Men. This is Neus Ballús' new film, and we have the pleasure to have here with us today Neus and the rest of the team. So Neus, welcome. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for sharing your film with us.
Thanks so much for inviting us and also to the audience for watching it. That's why we made it, actually.
Well, so as I mentioned, we're super excited. This is the first time that the audience will have the opportunity to watch the film. So I was wondering if you can introduce everybody here, everybody who we have on this panel today.
Yeah, sure. Like, I think the only face they didn't see in the movie is Miriam Porté, the producer of the film, super important figure here in this project. And then the three other people they see with us, it's just the main characters of the film, which is Mohamed, Valero, and Pep. That they have probably met in the film, which is actually their real names, and they are acting as themselves in the film. So they are already introduced, I think.
Well, thank you so much, all of you, for being here. This is super exciting. And thank you, Laura, who's our interpreter, and she's going to be with us here also supporting in the translation. We're going to be pretty much like in three languages during this conversation. So thank you very much, Laura. I wanted to start the conversation by asking Neus about how did you get to The Odd Job Men? How did you get to the story of this film? I'm a huge fan of your work. Both The Plague and Stuff Only, I think, are very strong films. You have like a very clear vision of the kind of cinema that you want to make. And so I wanted to hear a little bit more about the progression in your career to get to this film.
Well, it's difficult to say how we get into subjects and how we get into, let's say, the like new goals of what do you want to try as something new in new films, but after The Plague, it was clear for me that I wanted to try something more with non-actors, like going further beyond the documentary. So that's why I got into fiction with staff only, working with non-actors. And then at the same time, I had like this need to work with reality, like directly, as I did with The Plague, but trying some other, let's say, atmosphere or tone and getting closer to some kind of comedy. And it's the thing is that my father actually is a plumber, so I have been listening to all these kind of stories since I was very young, and I got stuck by all the situations he got into when he went work to all these customers' homes, and I thought it was let's say that it was much less superficial as it seems, because these situations talk about prejudices and how we deal with difference in our everyday life. So that's how I got into the idea of, okay, let's try something in this landscape, let's say.
I think that's fascinating, and that brings us to how did you start working with Mohamed, with Valero, with Pep, and with the rest of the cast of the film? How did you find them? And if each of you can tell us a little bit about that shooting experience, getting involved with the film.
Well, it's a super long process. The way I work, it happened the same with The Plague. And the thing is that I start trying to find some characters while I'm working in the script, or I'm trying to find the film. So what I did is I just went to, let's say, school, a plumber school here in Barcelona. I just got into the classes, and with the excuse of like taking some pictures, I was saying, yeah, I'm just investigating in this thing because I want to make film. I still don't know, but the real thing was I was actually making a casting, but I was in an undercovered way. So that's how I met Mohamed and Valero, who were actually taking some classes from electricity and installations and all that, you know. So I met more than 1,000 plumbers during that days. And I was trying to find something different, you know, people who had something like different at the same time, like being quite normal, you know, but they have this kind of singularity. And as I was trying to find a team, then it was clear to me that there was someone older that I needed, you know. And then Pep was introduced to me by a close friend. So that's how we made this team. But that happened after, let's say, 6 months trying to find them, you know. And it was not after 1 year and a half later that we actually shot the movie.
Wow. And Mohamed, do you want to tell us a little bit about how was your involvement?
Mohamed, no sé si quiere contarnos un poco acerca de su participación.
Sí, primero de todo quiero dar las gracias a la Neus por darme esta experiencia de participar en esta película y probar una cosa nueva más en mi vida. La experiencia ha sido muy buena de mi parte y gracias.
Yes, well, first of all, I wanted to thank Neus for giving me the opportunity to have this experience being in a film and to add another new experience to my life. For me, it was really a wonderful experience. And again, I can only say thank you.
Valero, y para ti, ¿cómo fue la experiencia? Sorry, Valero, do you want to tell us how was the experience for you?
Bueno, para mí ha sido, repito, lo mismo que mi compañero Moha, ha sido una gran experiencia. Aparte que yo pasé unos momentos difíciles por una enfermedad y la experiencia me sirvió para superarlo un poquito gracias al apoyo de las clases. Me servía de evasión ir a las clases que hacía con Neus de interpretación, si lo podíamos llamar, que eran interpretación. Pero bueno, ha sido una gran experiencia. He aprendido a valorar más al mundo del cine, porque lo subestimaba, creía que era un trabajo más fácil de hacer, y realmente valoro más el trabajo de actor y considero que es mucho más difícil de lo que tenía yo en mente. Y para mí ha sido una experiencia maravillosa. He trabajado con una persona que es la Neus, que te hace, que aunque no sepas hacer nada, te hace sentir como si supieras hacer algo, y ha sido magnífico. Otra cosa no puedo decir. Era como un juego, convertía los momentos de rodaje en un juego y nos lo hacía fácil. Y simplemente ella confiaba en nosotros más que nosotros en nosotros mismos. Y otra cosa es que no puedo decir. ¿Vale?
So, yes, I just wanted to reiterate what Moha said, that it really was a great experience for me. And for my part, there was one point where I went through a difficult time because I got sick, and so it was a little bit difficult to recuperate from that. But this experience was really wonderful. Attending the classes really ignited my passion, and I think that helped inform my role, my interpretation, if you want to call it that, in the film. So again, it was really a wonderful experience. It opened up my eyes to the world of film. I always had the impression that it was easy, that it was something easy to do. And through this experience, I really have a much greater appreciation for actors. And I know that their work is a lot harder than it seems. So again, a really wonderful experience. And I don't know what else I can say except that it was magnificent. And working with Neus was also wonderful. She really made it a game. It was like playing. And in the end, she trusted us more than we trusted ourselves.
Pep, do you want to tell us, Pep, a little bit also about your involvement in the film?
Pep, ¿nos quiere contar acerca de su participación en la película?
Sí, no os oigo muy bien, pero me veis bien, supongo. Es que tengo la imagen congelada. Bueno, mi experiencia en la película ha sido especial, aunque yo, en cuanto al mundo del espectáculo, había hecho un poco de teatro amateur. Y bueno, no obstante, esto ha sido una experiencia muy, muy diferente y me he sentido muy respaldado tanto por Neus como por Gerard, que eran los que nos metían dentro de la temática de la película. Y la verdad es que ha sido una experiencia muy buena, aparte de que he hecho muy buenas amistades y me he introducido en este mundo que no lo conocía y he visto la manera de trabajar y la pila de gente, el montón de gente que hace falta para hacer una pequeña escena. Esto me ha sorprendido mucho.
So, unfortunately, I can't see you all, but I imagine you can see me and I can hear you. For me, it was really quite a special experience. Even though I had had some experience in this before, I used to do some amateur theater. This was a completely different experience. I felt thoroughly supported throughout it, both by Neus and Gerard, who really got us into the theme of the film. It was a very good experience. I made great friends during it, and it opened my eyes to a new world. I see how this works, and I never realized how many people it takes just to make one scene in a film. That was something that really surprised me.
Like in independent filmmaking, we know that the relationship director-producer is extremely important, and that these films are made in like mostly because there are producers who commit to the projects and who like carry the projects with the directors like for a long time until they're finally made. I was wondering if Miriam could also talk about how did you become part of the project? How did you hear about it? And how was the process for you? As we understand, it's an unconventional way of making films, like a way that it's very, very unique. Miriam, tienes el mute en el micrófono.
Sorry. Thank you, Diana. Yeah, at that moment, Neus and myself, we were very much, in contact. We were working on another project, nothing to do with a film project, but it was like an association, a feminist association that we built together with other people. And she was at that point, she was in the process to cast, the three lead actors that we have today with us, and she also had done like a little teaser, and we talked, and she asked me, to be part of the production and to produce a film. And of course, I was very happy to do so because I loved, her first film, The Plague. At that point, she didn't finish Staff Only yet. So actually, she worked very much in parallel, the production and the shooting of Staff Only with the pre-production or the development, let's say, of The Age of Men. But yeah, I mean, it was like, very, very nice for me, to be asked by Neus to go with her in this project. It was easy, to make it possible. It was complicated in terms of, calendar, in terms of working process, because Neus' creative process is very, very special and very unique, and very slow at the moment, at the same time, because it needs like really to cook everything in very low fuego lento, Laura. I don't know how you say that in English.
Cook it on low heat. Let it simmer.
Exactly. So this is the kind of films Neus does. and very happy. You know, sometimes it's true that I was like a bit nervous and like a bit stressed, saying, "Well, we should be, you know, we should go faster." But 5 minutes later, I thought, no. This is, you know, this is the way this project has to be done, and I want to respect, you know, the nature of the film and also the needs of Neus. So I what I've been trying to do since the very first day is just, you know, to be with them and to make everything easy for them to really be able to make a great film as it is.
Neus, do you want to tell us more about the writing, especially like the dialogues versus this Mohamed, more like internal, like his thoughts, his, you know, like his thought process, that it's like so beautifully written and pointing at a level of connection that goes deeper than we think. And I think that writing is very special. If you can tell us more about that, the dialogue and the writing.
Well, thank you. It was at the very last part of the process that we wrote it, and it took a long time also to find like the tone and the subject and everything. And there was the idea of having his voiceover from the very beginning of the project, let's say. But sometimes we've tried like something more comical, but it was far from the character, and it actually didn't work. And I think what we have learned throughout the process is that every time we went like far from them and we got more and more into fiction, the film stopped working, you know. So it happened the same in the shooting, it happened in the editing. Like every time we tried like to push it to the fiction, it didn't work. So we had to get stuck to what they are, what they think, and just that was my guide to actually make it. And it's a kind of how do you say that, like a lesson of humility, let's say, because it's not the film I just wanted to make, it's the one they wanted to make, you know. And it was the same with the voiceover. After we were actually very stuck in the editing, that we were not finding this voice, that we needed something like deeper and more poetical to make a contrast with the everyday life, which seems lighter, even if there are things happening. I couldn't find it, but at the same time, Mohamed has something deep, you know, and poetical. So I said, okay, let's go back to him, and we had a very long conversation in a bar. I still remember. The film was almost already edited, and we had a very long conversation, like talking about very deep subjects, and I recorded it, you know. And we talk about their jobs and what it means to him, and what does it mean to live together, what does it mean to be different, why is it important what they do. And we got into very nice moments. So everything that is written comes from him. It doesn't mean that I didn't choose it. I directed and I choose the parts that actually resonated with myself, you know, because I was finding that while he was talking about plumbing and getting into the clients' houses, I was talking about filmmaking and getting into realities, you know. So he was my alter ego, let's say. And that's how finally we got into what it is right now.
I think that's fantastic. I think you can totally feel that it's like very deep, and that you and you get a lot from each one of the characters. I think precisely because of everything that you're talking about your process. And how do you think, and this is a question for everybody, how do you think the film will be perceived, particularly, of course, in terms of these like the relationship between the other in the new place, you know, like the immigrant in the new place. But it's not only about immigration, it's also about masculinity. It's also, you know, like I think there's so many things that are touched on in the film. Are you anxious about like what the perception is going to be from the audience? And this is for everybody, because has the cast seen it already, like completely finished?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Wall Street. Yeah, of course we are not anxious, but we are nervous. Let's say I would like to know what the audience have like thinks about it and what they tell us. Of course, we hope it will resonate somehow on how do they deal with each other in their daily lives, and hopefully they will all think about how we address difference and prejudices in their own daily reality. Of course, we want to make some changes, let's say internal adjustments on how we all deal with this, but this is something totally unpredictable, and that's the nicest part of our job, which is we do it for people, but we never know how people's gonna use it. So yeah, maybe they can say what they expect from it.
Entonces pregunto si todos que participaron en la película tienen alguna ansiedad o preocupación, o qué piensan de la manera que el público va a recibir la película, como se trata de la historia de otros, de personas en nuevos lugares, pero no solamente es una historia de inmigración, pero también es una historia de masculinidad. Entonces se trata de muchas cosas en la película. Entonces, ¿ustedes están ansiosos o cómo piensan lo va a recibir el público la película?
Bueno, yo tengo un poco de miedo, que como trato al Moha, que en la realidad no soy tan bestia ni tan heavy con el tema del racismo, y yo me llevo maravillosamente con él, pero realmente es que yo he vivido situaciones trabajando en la construcción con personas extranjeras que los han tratado así, y he querido un poco exagerar lo que yo he vivido respecto a ellos. Y supongo que en algún momento de su vida laboral en España, Mohamed se tiene que haber sentido así. Entonces, me da un poco de miedo que la gente, cuando vea la película, piense que realmente yo soy tan racista, porque realmente no soy tan racista, y ese es el único un poco de miedo que tengo ahí. Pero bueno, supongo que se ve muy claro que la película está dentro de un sentido del humor y que se exagera un poco el papel. Y es lo que único me está provocando un poco de ansiedad, pero bueno, tampoco mucha. Y es eso, yo con mi compañero Moha, él hemos estado ensayando y él ha percibido que en ningún momento era racista. Y en la película parece que sea racista. Pero sí que en mi experiencia personal, vuelvo a repetir, lo he vivido con compañeros de extranjeros que los han tratado así. A mí me sentaba muy mal, y por eso realmente es un reflejo de lo que pasa. En la realidad pasa eso, y la realidad supera la ficción, por desgracia. ¿Vale? Venga, gracias.
Well, one of the things that I'm afraid of is that I'm going to be perceived as more racist than I am. I don't think that I'm so bad that I'm so racist. Moha can tell you about that. We got along really well. But I have seen in the construction world situations where foreigners have been treated the way that he's treated in the film. And I imagine that coming to work in Spain, Moha must have also felt the same things. So my fear is that people might think I'm more racist than I actually am, but I'm not racist. And I hope that people will understand that, we were trying to portray this with some humor, and so therefore the role is exaggerated. And that's the one thing that makes me a little bit anxious. During our rehearsals, Moha can tell you that I'm not racist, but in the film I am portrayed as that. So my personal experience is that I have seen other coworkers treated that way, and I feel bad about it. I always have. And this is unfortunately a reflection of reality, and sometimes reality is even worse than what we see in fiction.
Moha, ¿tú quieres añadir algo?
Moha, would you like to add something?
Bueno, sí. Lo que quiero decir es que desde mi punto de vista, la gente cuando vea la película lo va a entender. O sea, va a entender que de la manera que ha actuado Valero no es verdadera, sino es es un acto y ya está. Y además es que hoy en día, vayas donde vayas, hay gente buena y gente mala, o sea, no todo el mundo es bueno y ni todo el mundo es malo, o sea, una actuación entendida.
So yes, in my opinion, I think that when the audience sees the film, they'll understand that Valero is acting, that it's not real, and that really this is just an act, and that's it. And today, no matter where you go, you'll run into good people and bad people. Nobody is all good, just like nobody is all bad. And so I think that will come across.
Pep, ¿y tú cómo te sientes después de haber visto la película terminada?
Bueno, yo me siento bien. Yo hacía de el abuelo bueno que tenía que hacer un papel que me dijo Neus, pero no obstante me encontraba bastante bien dentro del papel. Yo era la persona mayor que estaba a punto de jubilarme y, lo encontré bien. La relación entre Valero y Moha, pues bueno, yo casi que mi papel era hacer un poco de moderador, porque a mí Moha me caía muy bien y yo creo que conseguimos, aparte de una amistad muy buena, pues lograr un rodaje que a mí me pareció bastante coherente y muy adecuado bastante a la vida de los lampistas, lo que pasa, porque yo también he vivido un poco esta experiencia real, aunque yo era un autónomo que no compartía mucho la experiencia del trabajo con tanta gente como Valero y Moha, que están en empresas más grandes, pero bueno, más o menos también tenía esta experiencia y me he sentido muy bien en este papel, guiado bastante por mis maestros como Neus y los profesores que he tenido, que me he sentido muy bien con ellos.
Well, I think that I did a pretty good job in the role that I had and in the role that I was given. I felt really good in the role. I played the role of the person who is an older gentleman about to retire. And in the relationship between Moha and Valero, I acted basically as the moderator between the two of them. That was kind of my role. And so aside from the friendship that we built, I think also the filming was very coherent and very appropriate, and reflected the experience of contract workers such as Moha and Valero. I had that experience myself personally, working as an independent worker, although Moha and Valero were working for a larger company. But in the end, really, I felt good in the role. I felt very supported by both Neus and the teachers that I had.
Quiero darles de nuevo las gracias a todos por estar aquí. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and for those of you who have tuned in to watch the film and also to be part of this Q&A. We wish you all the best with the film and with your future endeavors. De corazón les deseamos lo mejor para lo que sigue con sus vidas y sus carreras. And we really hope to have you back at the festival. Neus, estás muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you so much. I would love to add that it would be so good, to have this audience in front of us so that we could have some feedback. Finally, after 6 years of process, as you can imagine, we are really willing to receive some feedback. So if there's people who would like to, make us any message, whatever, they can find us in social media. So we would really like to receive feedback online on how, if you like or you didn't like the film. And of course, we would like to come to Toronto in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll make sure to post your handles in social media so people can send you some feedback that way. So everybody's encouraged to just send your comments and maybe establish a conversation that way with the filmmaking team.
Exactly.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Exactly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hasta luego.